Hey guys, so I'm going to be reviewing Stargirl 306 titled The Betrayal. If you guys enjoyed the review, hit the like button down below to get new notifications so I'll jump right into Stargirl Season 3 review. So, the past 6 episodes, this entire season has been like a mixed bag. There's the good, there's the bad, and then there's just the why the hell is this even happening? This season of Stargirl, I think, is way worse than Season 2 and Season 1. Season 1 and Season 2 were amazing. I think for the beginning of the show, it worked. Third episode is great. The thing is that the pacing is horrible, and this episode, the last 3 episodes have really shown that. We're not getting Courtney as Stargirl. She's the main lead in the show, and the only time we got Stargirl this episode was at the end, and it was when Yolanda and Rick started fighting Cindy. Had nothing to do with the murder, had nothing to do with the actual main plot of the season. It had to do with the side plot. That's the only time we saw Stargirl this episode. We never even saw Courtney as Stargirl last week, because she was too busy with Cameron. And you know who filled in that hole? Sylvester as Starman. Was it great to see him as Starman? Yes, but the point is it's called Stargirl, not Starman. Secondly, the big bad of the season, whether it's Mr. Bones, Obsidian, whoever the hell it is, we have nothing on him. The guy watching the cameras, assuming that's Mr. Bones, considering he literally pieced a puzzle together with a skull on it. So that's not Mr. Bones, I don't know who the hell it is, but let's assume it's Mr. Bones. All he's been doing is watching cameras for 6 episodes. Assuming this guy isn't the murderer, right? Let's just assume that he's not the murderer here. Really? 6 episodes. I'm glad they figured that out, though. That, you know, Beth and Rick, or not Rick really, but Beth telling Court and Pat, you know, Court really isn't in the JSA anymore. They kicked her out of it. Well, I guess she's going to be in it now because they need her, right? And then it'll go right back to Court still in JSA, Sylvester's leading it, and there you go. I love this show. What they've done with the JSA, bringing in new heroes, and still reminiscing about the old JSA, and all the stories they've done, I think are amazing. I think for me, though, on a personal level, is that this season is most likely to last. If you don't want to admit that, that's on you. I think we'd all love the Season 4, or Stargirl, right? Definitely a lot more similar to Lois getting Season 4, but the thing is that Stargirl, the ratings have dipped, the writing has dipped, and the pacing is horrible. Like, you can tell they're dragging this out, and it should not be dragged out. I don't care if it even is Mr. Bones, there's no reason for this to be dragged out. Not even 6, it'll be 8 episodes when this gets wrapped up in 308 with this 2-part that we're getting. Part 1 is next week of Infinity Core, or whatever the hell it's called. And then the next part is part 2. You would assume this would be the finale of this little side arc. But then we're still dealing with the murderer. If Mr. Bones, the guy watching the cameras right now, because we know it's Mr. Bones. If it's not Mr. Bones, what the hell is that skull for? If the guy watching the cameras is not the killer, which is turning out to be that way, we've only seen him twice. It was on 301 and, 303 or 304? What the hell? We're halfway into the season. There are 13 episodes. We're halfway in, and the main villain of the season, we've only seen twice, and we haven't even seen him. All we know is he's a giant person that makes animal noises and has super strength. That's it. We know it's not Cindy. She got cleared this episode. So, what, is it Grundy? They've been teasing that the entire time? But, again, we don't know. We should know by now. There should not be a thing where we're guessing halfway through the season who the hell is the murderer. We should know this by now. It should be revealed to us as the viewers. Hey, this is who the killer is. Now we're waiting on JSA to figure that out. That's what they should be doing. Not dragging every single person watching the show through just dragging them. Saying, I come back each week, we'll figure it out one step at a time. Or wait, I guess we won't, because Corey's too busy with Cameron and too busy biting everyone's heads off over Cameron. I get that Courtney's a teenager and she's trying to live two separate lives, but the thing is that we've seen teenager superheroes manage to do that, and the show still follows the main lead. Courtney is the main lead of the show. She is Stargirl. Whether you want to admit that or not is on you. The matter of the fact is that this is a story arc that should not be dragged out every 5 minutes. All this side plot crap, the only thing that is leading to the main story is the Mike and Jakeem story. And frankly, that's not interesting to me at all. And I'm sure to a lot of you, it is not interesting at all. The thing that caught my interest the most this episode was unironically the last 10 minutes. Where Court was actually Stargirl for once this season. And the JSA, learning about Cameron and all that. The other thing was in the beginning episode with Rick and him having strength for longer than an hour. He fixed it. He's, having strength 24/7 now. I mean, are we really gonna say that, this season is great? Because it's not. Everyone, if you rewatch this season, when it's done, or even up to now, back to back, it might be good. But the thing is that same with Superman and Lois and Flash sometimes, watching it week to week, it needs to keep bringing people back. Clearly, it's not doing that. It's not. And it's not keeping up the good pacing that this show had season 1 and kind of season 2. At least season 2 still had the main story going. In major scenes. It wasn't like, a side scene with the main story. Unless somehow Cameron is connected to the main story, fine. Connect it then now. Don't wait till 312 to do that. There's no point for that. Will there be a point for all this? Sure, I'm sure there will be. But what Courtney's story is right now with Cameron is a side plot. What the entire thing with Cameron's family right now is a side plot. They're setting that up as a side plot. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is. The main story plot of this season is the murderer and whoever the hell is watching those cameras. Which we're assuming is Mr. Bones or Obsidian. Or they're both involved with each other. And that camera story will most likely be wrapped up in the 2-part episode thing that we're getting next week and the week after. That's what we're going to be getting. Now, whether or not it is a matter of the fact that mainly the show is on a side plot and the main plot is being taken by the main characters, team members 10% of the time, the other 90% of the time is by the main lead's brother, aka Mike. Because have you noticed that Pat has not said a single thing about the murderer? Sylvester is kind of caring, but not really, because they don't have any leads. And the JSA has nothing to go on besides Court lying to them, and that's it. They had Cindy, that's out the window now, because they know she didn't do it, and they know for sure now. So, there's nothing to go on here. The thing with this season is that it's a murder mystery, not a murder and then ignore it and then go on 20 different side stories and then come back in 312 and here's a villain. No. I get it's a CW show. I get Cora's a teenager. I get she needs love interest. I get that. When she has a crush on someone, it's going to be her main focus, period. I get all of it. The main thing here is a matter of the fact that what we are dealing with is this season most likely being the last, and we're getting the worst possible writing ever done on this show because they don't know how to handle 30 episodes with a main story plot. Like, they don't. So they need to be able to handle the entire thing and still handle it very, 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 very well. You can't just shut off the main plot. That's not how that one works. Like I said, there were some good things in this episode. There's been really good things this season. The fight scenes are amazing. We've gotten 3 of them, which is depressing. But we've gotten 3 of them. And they've been really good. And this show has been known for good fight scenes. I think when you think about Stargirl, the first thing that should pop in your mind is the fight scenes. Like, come on. It should be. However, this season, I think they're running out of ideas to drag the story out. With Courtney being a side plot, the only advancements in the main plot is the Cindy stuff and what Mike is doing, which isn't really advancing anything at all. Right? So we're getting nowhere. And it might advance next week in 308. But the thing is that it'll be done by December. Like, we know that. It's not just going to be dragged out across however many episodes. Right? We're on a clock here. We have 7 episodes left. By the end of 2-parter, we'll have 5. And then it's like, are you kidding me? We're going to be at 308 by the time this, or 309, sorry, by the time this 2-parter is done. This entire 2-parter is going to be concluding that camera story arc. Unless they're going to drag it out, which, why? End it. Which would end up with what Breck said about Mr. Bones. About how he'll be wrapped up in the middle of the season. And he's not the big bad. The big bad, we've only seen twice. Mr. Bones is that guy watching the cameras, and he will be wrapped up in this 2-parter, or he should be. If they're going to do it well, and they're going to do it right, they will wrap it up in this 2-parter. And you can't tell me, oh, it's, whatever, it's just the actors didn't have time or something. If they didn't have time, they've had a full year to get the season done and doner, and they didn't reshoot or anything. They could have reshot so many things this season to make it better, and they didn't even care to do it. So, it's like, I don't know if my expectations going into the season were high after Flash's Nate, because I was really hoping this season would be up to that level of Flash's Nate. Maybe my expectations were too high. I don't know. If you don't know, I love Flash's Nate. It's my favorite season of the show. I've watched it several times. I still love it. So, maybe it's because Stargirl Season 3 was premiering after Flash's Nate ended, and I was typed for it. I don't know. But the trailers that we got for Season 3 looked like we're actually going to get Cora as Stargirl and advancing as a hero. Not just as, oh, here's Courtney's side plot. Like, that's not what the show should be doing. That's not what the season should be. Especially the last season, right? Like, what this feels like is, it feels like Todd Helbing's a showrunner. But he's not. It's Jeff Johns. This guy knows Stargirl, right? He wrote Stargirl in the comics. And he's just letting this stuff happen. Although I'm sure he's proud of it. And my connection to Todd Helbing there was that Todd Helbing doesn't know how to make a superhero have a human life. Jeff Johns' problem right now seems to be he doesn't know how to get the superhero to live a superhero life. He's happy with him living a human life. When it comes to superhero life, oh, that's a turn for the worse. It's like, I swear to God, they must be related at some level. So it's just, I don't know. It's very so well complicated to what is completely going on with the main story and the big bad, the actual story. like I said earlier, if Cameron and his grandparents somehow connect to the main story plot, fine. Do it then. But don't drag this whole thing through the mud just to get that out there. Bring it up now. Quit dragging it out episode after episode after episode after episode after episode. There's no point to it. There's no point to do that whatsoever. Either you bring in the main villain now. If it connects to Cameron and his grandparents, do it now. Quit dragging this crap out. We're coming down to the end. There's not going to be a cliffhanger at the end of season 3. They've very, very clearly made that clear. If there will be a cliffhanger, it'll be one that can just release a press report for and say what happens after. It's not like, right dead on the end of Flash Season 8. Like, if that happened, we'd be all, with hell. But I would say in Season 8, it was Cobalt Blue or whatever. But the next beautiful Avatar, it's not like that. It's not a big, bad being tease on some level. It's the next small story arc. So it's not going to be a big tease. But even there's got to be room for it, so we got to get that in there. So we're on a clock with this season, and with the two-parter, it'll probably bring in the murderer again, but the thing is that we are dialing down in the next 5 episodes after the two-parter, which will lead up to the finale, or probably the series finale, to be honest, will inevitably lead and connect to the murderer, which you probably won't get introduced till 312. And it's stupid, and it should never, ever, 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 ever work that way. Shouldn't. Not when it comes to a superhero show doing a murder mystery plot. It should not be that way. But, yeah. There were good things, there were bad things in the episode. I think overall this was not a very good episode. Again, the only thing that interested me was the first, 2 minutes with Rick. And then the last 10 to 15 minutes. That was it. Everything else, I literally did not pay attention to most of it because it did not catch my interest. The Yolanda and Cindy thing, the fight scene was amazing. Those were really the only good things in the episode. Everything else with Mike and Jakeem, I didn't really care about. Pat and Barbara, what they were doing with Cameron's parents, or grandparents, sorry. I didn't care about that. I didn't really care what Court and Cameron were doing. Like Cindy said, he's undoubtedly going to find out that Court had a hand in his own father dying. That's connected to later in the season. It's bound to at one point. So, it's what the hell? There's nothing they can really do there. But whatever. Thank you guys for watching the video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.